I'm going to do this. I'm going to start like this. I'm going to say Ben's a hater. That's how I'm going to start this review.
I like this movie. What are you talking about? I give it an... Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome to our month of Oscar-nominated films and also our Throwback Thursday for the review of
The Color Purple came out in 1985. It's directed by the great Steven Spielberg. It's actually based on a book.
Great.
It's based on a book by Alice Walker, and this is this. Let's just talk about it because it's for me it's an excellent.
Yeah,
film.
let's get into it, guys.
Sister, you've been on my mind.
So The Color Purple is an older film. It's 1985, and it does run a little bit long, guys. So it's about 2.5 hours long. So you guys do catch that, just a heads up. Also, we are going to not spoil the movie. We don't want to say everything that happens in the film, but we are going to talk about scenes. This is an old movie, so hopefully you guys watched it so far. But this movie is actually about a black Southern woman struggling to find out her identity. And it's in the 1900s. So at that time, 1, she's a woman. 2, she's black. So it's kind of hard to really know what you're about, and especially because you lived around
that time period, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you lived around a lot of other people that have been suppressed during that time, a lot of women especially. So it's kind of hard to find that, and it's kind of hard. But the crazy thing is this is a PG-13 movie. So
I actually really like that we get to see her from an old 12, 13 all the way until like her 50s. I really enjoyed that part of this film.
Yeah, it really did. The one thing that I really loved about this movie is that it gave me everything throughout her adulthood or childhood, everything. And even though it skipped from like a big period, like I think from like 2 years to like 15 years, I didn't miss anything. I to that point,
it was seamless. Like
I understood how her life had gotten to that point.
Right.
So that's the really cool thing. One thing I am going to say is I'm not a big fan of Whoopi Goldberg, and she actually plays the main actress in this one, Celie. But she did a really good job. I actually feel like Whoopi really made me feel. She made me laugh. She made me
pleasantly surprised by that.
Yeah, like it really was. Just because personally I didn't really see her in a lot of big things. I saw her in more comedic side of films.
Right.
Besides Ghost.
And actually, funny you should say that, because that was actually a big buzz back in the 80s was like, why are you bringing a comedian into doing such a serious role? But you know what? She knocked it out of the park.
I think a lot of the actors here were kind of like comedic. Mr., which is Albert actually, the main guy, her husband, was played by Danny Glover, and I've only seen him in Lethal Weapon, and like Predator. So it was something to where seeing him in more of a kind of a dickish way, kind of an asshole, to be honest. Sorry for my language. Really came a surprise to me. I didn't see him like that. I saw him like a grandfather figure all this time.
Right.
And I see him like this.
And now you see him. Well, it shows you how he has range.
Yeah, exactly.
And let's talk also about the great Oprah Winfrey. She plays Sophia. And she has said before that if it wasn't for The Color Purple, she wouldn't be the Oprah that we know. And we also have one of my favorite characters is Shay Avery, played by really Margaret Avery. Yeah,
all of the cast actually was really good. And there was more characters overall, but they weren't too big. You had a lot of kids and stuff like that because it is 1900s. But they all did
40 years.
Yeah, exactly. And it was seamless. Everything was seamless. They all kind of, I feel like they loved acting together. Like they had a great time making this film. And that was the cool thing. You saw kind of every kind of what's it called, personalities. You have this kind of like more of a hid, sheltered woman by Celie, but then you see this more open and like, I'm not gonna take shit from, sorry for my language, from anybody, with Sophia.
No more coffee for you.
I'm sorry. But yeah, like the movie was great. I think it was shot beautifully. The open sceneries of the farms. At one point they walked through a field of course, color purple flowers.
Yeah,
that was very beautiful. A lot of times when they were hiding behind like fields of plants. Even though it was blurry, it gave me this feeling of like, oh, it looks fun.
The sound, right? The sound is amazing. This movie actually was nominated 11 times, and this obviously again was 1985, so it was ahead of its time. We hadn't seen like, what was it? The one that you mentioned in the 90s, Boys in the Hood. This is the first time we actually got, for me at least, got to see Black life and how it was portrayed in the South. One of the great things about this film is the fact that you get to see the ins and outs of like America coming to be. This starts like in the early 1900s.
Yeah.
And you get to see like farm life. You get to see also the progression, and also great music. Like there was a scene where they're in the juke joint, and you could just see.
Sometimes.
I feel that you'll see later that I really, really, really love this film. But for me, the jazz music, like there's a song called Celi's Blues that actually was nominated for an Oscar, was an amazing scene. And if you want to YouTube, if you don't want to see the whole 2 hours and a half, just go Google or go to YouTube and see Celi's Blues, and that's an excellent 2.5 video.
That actually did fit in the thing, but
you did have issues with the music, right?
I had a lot of issues with a couple things. One issue, a big one, was the music. This, from what I've read, from what I've known, I'm not a big book reader, but from what I know, the book is very nitty gritty. It gets really hard to read at points.
Yeah.
And this movie was nothing like that. There is hard parts to see. There is like sex in the movie. There is abuse in the movie.
Yeah.
But overall, it's a PG-13 movie, so you know they're gonna cut off a lot of that stuff.
Of course, right?
But even in those sad ones, I heard happy music. I heard like cheerful music.
And you felt that it
didn't balance. I'm like, why she just got hit, and they're gonna play like a Jurassic Park theme song. Sorry for saying that, but that's all I heard. Sometimes like I think they got the same.
So the stylistic
was the same.
Yeah.
But stuff like that kind of threw me off. But again, the singing part by Shug Avery was amazing. I think she was great when she sang at the church. That was amazing.
Oh, God is trying to tell you something?
Yeah, everything was... It wasn't her, but it was the person that sang was beautiful. And I think it fit perfectly with the scenes. But yeah, like it was a little off for me. And this movie, altogether, this movie was a little off. This is the first time I have seen The Color Purple. I don't know why it took so long to watch this movie. Maybe it was the length. But yeah, like it's something to where it didn't... I got bored in the beginning. The first act of the movie was a little boring, but you need it because you need to learn how
the foundation, right?
Exactly, because you need to see where she goes, how she belongs. And like I said, it worked seamlessly, but it was slow for me. There's a part in the movie where I felt like it was overacting. Way too much overacting.
Which part?
I don't want to spoil it, but like it's when the sisters are separated.
Okay.
Like that to me was very overacting, and I was just like, oh, is this a movie gonna be like this for the whole thing? But then Whoopi came in and she surprised me. She made me laugh. I love the innovation behind her, how she was truly a smart, beautiful woman, but that just kept being suppressed by this awful man, you know? And it's something to where that really brought a whole another picture in my eyes, kind of thing, you know?
And this movie has a lot of depth and a lot of layers. I have seen this film 5 times, and so every time I see this movie, I try to look at other things that I didn't see in the beginning. And this is gonna sound dumb or whatever, but there's a breakfast scene that they're cooking breakfast for Shug Avery.
That was amazing.
And it actually was hilarious. Like, you know, you have all this serious subject happening, you know, but you get this moment of 2 minutes of they're cooking breakfast, and it in the beginning it goes really bad, but then, you know, Whoopi comes in, Celie comes in and makes her breakfast, and it's really good. And that was just visually stunning. So I love the up and down of this film. You know, you get some really hardcore stuff in the beginning, but you also get some little cinematography gems.
Yeah, and you also get this sense of like everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
And it gave me a good ending, and it gave me something like, oh, that's awesome, that's great,
solid ending.
Exactly.
Right?
It gave me something to where this movie made me go from like, oh man, I'm so bored of this movie, to like, wow, this movie's actually pretty damn good. And you know what, guys? I do recommend going to watch it. Right now, sadly, there isn't any streaming services that are actually getting it, but you can rent it on Amazon for about $4. So if you guys want to check that out, you guys can. So even though this movie, I did have some gripes with the movie. I did feel like it was a little long, and I do feel like certain music parts and like stereotypical parts of the movie were a little off to me. Okay. This movie was still good. I love the acting. It was seamless. I love the just the cinematography and the beautiful scenery. Like a lot of wide shots aren't used that much lately. Right. But I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. I'm going to agree with the world right now, which is at 88%.
Right, with Rotten Tomatoes?
Yeah.
Okay. Before I give my grade, I just want to say that this is probably one of the biggest robberies in Oscar history. Yeah, it was nominated for 11 Oscars, and it did not win one. And also, Steven Spielberg was not even nominated for this film, which to me is one of his greatest films. I give this movie a 10. It's perfect. I've actually, like I said, seen it 5 times now, and number one, was not bored, and the music fit. Especially, you know, God is trying to tell you something. Mm-hmm. That is an excellent track. Yes. Yes, please go watch this film.
All right, guys, in the comments down below, let us know what you thought of The Color Purple. Have you seen it? Or are you going to rent it to go watch it? Let us know. Also, what's your favorite Whoopi movie? Mine's is Sister Act. No, I'm just kidding, guys. This is probably my favorite one so far.
Hey, don't forget to join us next week. We're going to be doing Fences starring Viola Davis and the great Denzel Washington.
So hopefully you guys could join us for that. Down below, guys, we also have links to our other social medias. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Tumblr. You can actually find us on any of those and kind of share the videos with other people. All right, guys, give us a like on the video if you guys like the video. And also don't forget to subscribe for more awesome films. Have a good one.